It was one of India's fastest growing airlines, was rated best on time performer multiple times, but now Go Fast could be on the verge of shutting its operations due to financial crunch. The airline, which cancelled all its flights for the next few days, has been issued a show cause notice by India's aviation watchdog DGCA and has also filed for bankruptcy. Meanwhile, Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia said the airline has been facing critical supply chain issues with regard to their engines. Go Fast, while moving a motion in NCLT, says that it has grounded half of its planes due to financial crunch because they aren't getting enough engines from Pratt & Whitney, their supplier. This fight with the engine maker has been going on for a while. In fact, Go First has sued them in an international arbitration court for the delay in putting in new engines. All right, to understand the implications of these developments today in the aviation space, I'm joined by Mark D. Martin of MRAES. He's the founder and CEO of Martin Consultancy. Mark, great to have you on the show. Hope you're doing well. Can Go be saved, or is this the end?
Good evening, Tamanna. Great to see you again, and always a pleasure to be with you and everybody at Etnow. I think the most important thing is, this is the same Go Air that has outlived SpiceJet in and out of bankruptcy 9 times. It's outlived a Jet Airways, a Kingfisher, a Costa, and a Paramount. The problem with Jet Airways is that the problem with Go Air was after 2013, when they really expanded their fleet, they chose to focus on the Neo, which turned out to be the biggest disaster for them because obviously Pratt & Whitney engines kept on breaking, and as a result of those breakages, you basically, what we have today is a Go Air whose hand is tied up behind its back, and you're asking him to perform. It's impossible, especially when nearly more than half your fleet is grounded. Is this the end? Honestly, I'd like to think not, because this is a voluntary step that the airline is taking by approaching IBC and insolvency and bankruptcy. It's almost identical to Chapter 11 bankruptcy code in the U.S. Now, in history, if an airline goes by itself into IBC or initiates proceedings voluntarily, it's always been that the airline has emerged stronger with a better investor, with restructuring of debt, with realigning of liabilities, and they've taken on a whole new avatar. We've seen it as a classic example, and the example that's worked very well is United Airlines after the 9/11 World Trade Center attack. United Airlines filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy themselves. It was voluntary, and look at where United Airlines is today, one of the largest airlines in the world, restructured with investors that back the airline as part of its growth as well as part of its opportunity. So, from my perspective, this is a wait and watch period for everybody. It's a nail biter, and I'm rooting that I hope they recover and come out of this.
I understand, Mark, that Pratt & Whitney is having a problem with components which they use to make their parts for a while. In fact, in their recent results, they've said that most of 2023 is going to be tough. And it's not just Go First. There are a number of airlines and companies waiting for their engines. Why is this sinking this particular airline? And is it only because of the engines? Because there were issues with cash infusions, role of the promoters. There were reports a few weeks ago that the promoters want to exit. So put all of that into perspective.
Perfectly summed up, Tamanna. Go Air, let's not forget, not long ago in 2019, we're planning an IPO. The airline was doing extremely well. They were in a good financial position. They rebranded themselves. They restructured themselves. The Pratt & Whitney engine, because of, basically it's poor metrology. The metal technology used is extremely poor, and that's what started to break and started to have microfragments come into the engine oil. That is a manufacturer. He's liable, and that's because of his negligence and poor quality of manufacturing. And you're absolutely right. It's not just Go Air. It is Indigo. Even Indigo has about 50 aircraft grounded. But why it doesn't impact Indigo as much as it does a Go Air is because Indigo has got 200 plus aircraft, out of which their exposure on the Neo is just about 40% of the total fleet size. So Indigo still has the current engine option the older engines, which is what is really making them money. Whereas if you come over to Go Air side, 90% of the fleet is the Neo. So that grounding is going to obviously hit you very hard on the revenue side. Your income is going to be slammed and your expenditure is going to go absolutely crazy. So this issue with Pratt & Whitney has happened with, especially with this engine, has happened with Indigo, as we know, Go Air, and let's hope Go Air doesn't become, doesn't fold up or go under. It's been going on with Wizz Air, with AirAsia, and quite a few airlines in Southeast Asia as well. So all focus now shifts to the government, because if Go Air goes under, Tamanna, we're looking at price of air tickets going sky high. We're talking about 59 aircraft leaving our register. We're talking about nearly 7,000 people without jobs. And it's not that because this closes down and other airlines can take on the capacity. They can't, because their fleet hasn't grown as well. So it's not like the competition has 200 aircraft free lying at their disposal that they could deploy immediately. So this is very, very critical that now it's high time the government also stepped up and took action against Pratt & Whitney, because this is going to result also, if Go Air goes under, fuelers will no longer see additional sales of jet fuel, airports will suffer, airport retail will suffer, airport charges.
1 minute, Mark, I want to understand what is the government intervention you're expecting? Surely not a bailout of a private airline.
No, I think the government has no business to be in business and no business to even enter the airline environment, including provide subsidies. I agree. But the government, surely, it's a commerce issue. It's a trade imbalance issue. We have been buying engines from Pratt & Whitney, which is to the tune of billions of dollars. And if those engines fail and they break prematurely, which is what has happened, the government has every right to take it up with the U.S. government and push on legislation as well and lobby hard so that Pratt & Whitney is made accountable and so that they resolve this. So far, what we've seen from Pratt & Whitney has been absolutely nothing but them coining this as supply chain issues. It's not supply chain issues. It's a warranty issue. It's a reliability issue. It's a part failure issue. And that matter has to come out and has to be brought out in the open.
So much, Mark T. Martin there, putting into perspective the big news of today. Go first, definitely on shaky ground.